So we can pick up in those same kind of moments. There is going to be a few hours of time that go by. Mechanically, it is 2 hours, but you guys will have time to effectively take a short rest where you are. You have this idea that undead spirit is likely to return. You don't necessarily know when it will return, but I feel like that was a role that went to Brannick to recognize that the willow is not something that you can kill. You can just kill it for now. I don't remember in particular who that was, but that's kind of something that you all have in mind is that right now I don't believe you all have any way to heal Velixis to get her back up and moving, but you basically have some time where you all are going to be resting. So, for what it is at this present time, you all can describe to me what it is that you would like to do with your time here in kind of the nether regions of this Spire of Ythryn.
Well, I wanted to go back to the room with the skeleton, and without touching it, can I see anything around it? Anything on rings? Any?
You can roll a perception check.
And again, I'm not touching it or getting too close. I'm just trying to look at it from a couple feet away.
Yeah, so as you're kind of like looking over this, you're going to see signs of the skeleton, tattered like gown. It might seem a little kind of loose fitting that would kind of like fit you into this idea that perhaps it's a wizard, perhaps it's something a little bit more casual. There's certainly signs of broken glass around without much effort and like disturbing them. You would be able to spot that despite like the dust and kind of like glazed like effects of ice across them, that these are a mirror. But overall, kind of looking over it, you don't really see any signs of any jewelry or anything to it.
Well, I think we should at least move up one floor to get away from whatever entity is habitating this floor. I don't think there. Um, I don't think there was any other rooms down here that we didn't look into. Correct? I'm not. I can't remember.
It's possible, I suppose, that this spirit or whatever it is somehow tied to the body. So perhaps if we put enough distance, it might not bother us. I can't say for sure. Um, but I guess before we go, I believe Dzaan had mentioned something about possibly a reward. I think he'd mentioned a ring.
Let me kind of step back a little bit because there is something that I feel like that's pretty solid to kind of discover actually. Um, there's nothing to the actual body itself, but as you kind of like wander around the actual effects of this skeleton, and you're kind of keeping distance to it, there is going to be a certain point where you kick into something and as you kind of like look down to your feet, there's nothing there. But you clearly just like stubbed your toes on something there.
I'll call over to Brannick.
With the two of you investigating, it doesn't take you long to recognize that there is effectively some sort of chest that is inside of this room and it's been rendered invisible.
Hmm.
Dzaan, is there any assistance you could render in this situation?
Unfortunately, I don't think I have any way to dispel the magic, but since we seemingly may have a bit of time, I might be able to at least detect whether there's any potentially any magical traps, or perhaps get a sense of um, how it might be opened.
And I would call over Dzaan. And Dzaan, is there any information that you might be able to glean?
So you can get Design's attention. And one of the things that you're going to pick up again is the reminder, like, I don't actually have access to my master's spells. My first priority will actually be acquiring a spell book and the creation of such a thing once again. But alas, I am rather without my ability to cast many of the things that I once knew.
How about your construct? Could it try to open the chest?
My friend is not a construct. She is indeed dead. He is a white in my service. But Krintas does not possess any abilities that any of us do not have.
And if we want to keep some distance, I could try to open it from a distance. At least perhaps check to see if there's traps with and Brannick will kind of summon his kind of a spectral hand and
So you can clear the room and get everybody to give you that distance. And when you go to attempt it, you're going to find the chest is locked. It's probably extremely interesting to watch you use a mage hand, feel around on an invisible chest to find a latch to attempt to open it when it's locked and impossible to open. So it probably takes a long time to get to that point, but you are eventually going to find that this thing is indeed locked. Um, and
And
this
it
is
is.
kind of that weird moment where, while I do want to include your followers in these things, I would say there certainly has to be like a vagueness of they're not necessarily here. But you all are welcome to do something like, for instance, picking up the chest and carrying the invisible chest back out to your friends. I'm not sure what the solution is, where to have them, but I feel like that's kind of the solution we should go to, is that they are not here, but they are maybe outside.
And that was going to be my next question. It will move. We could pick it up.
If you go to pick it up, you can certainly try.
Uh, uh, well, maybe, since you didn't have any luck, Brannick, we can maybe clear the room, get everybody up to the floor above, and then I could try to pick it up and have my step of the wind as a ready action in case some kind of trap goes off or another entity is summoned, so I can make a quick exit.
Another option, if you can give me 10 minutes, I can try to detect whether there's any sort of magical traps on it. It wouldn't pick up anything non-magical, but
All right, here's another thing that we need to deal with here. Are you guys taking a long rest? It looks like Brannick took a long rest, or a short rest, rather. So is this immediately after that fight with the pudding and basically reconstituting Dzaan, or have you guys already spent that hour?
oh, I can
I
retcon that
just
if you
want
want to
you
have the.
guys to decide, though. That's what I mean.
But I feel like knowing that the spirit is coming back at some time, we would want to vacate this floor before we do the rest.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's
do you remember, Justin? Was that Brannick who I gave that information to?
yeah, because I think my last spell is the one that kind of had it go, but I got
All
the
right.
sense that it
So,
was going to come back at some point, but I don't know when.
for what it's worth, my point is that a will o' the wisp is an evil spirit. It is a doomed creature stuck on this plane. You guys have a lot of reason to expect that to come back. I am not telling you there's a time bomb for that thing to come back. If you mess with the skeleton, you might find it come back. But it's not like you have minutes to go. I think it
Mm.
is perfectly sufficient for you guys to have a hesitancy to mess with that skeleton, but not necessarily to be in this area.
Yeah, and I guess I was kind of thinking too, since we know that Velixis is essentially unconscious for 2 hours, that um, it could be difficult to carry him back up. So
And again, even that is effectively Velixis is unconscious for hours. You don't know how many.
right, yeah.
Luckily, she's small or he's small or whatever. Well, then I guess we should spend the time for a short rest and let you do your detect magic.
Gotcha. So you guys can spend this hour. Brennick already rolled at least the hit die, like a hit die, but if you wanted to spend more, you can do that, Brennick. And is Jinbao taking any hit dice?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, might as well use a second one.
Getting all the worst dice rolls.
Yeah, luckily I didn't need too many.
So remember, you're getting your con with those as well, with Jinbao. So those are +9 total. It's 7, 11, and 7.
25.
Probably puts you, what, like 50, like mid 50s, I think?
Yeah, I'm at
Gets you pretty close.
29. Yeah. What did I say? 25? Yeah, that'll be 54.
And then I use my arcane recovery to recover 1/3 level slot.
Yep, that was another thing that I was getting at. So you have max key. Um, you
Yeah.
guys actually have viable hit points. Neither of you are looking bloodied anymore. And it puts you effectively, like, again, you guys don't know this, but an hour closer to Velixis standing up conscious. Um, and then after that, you can take a little bit of time, and Brennick, you are ritually casting Detect Magic.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately I don't have dispel magic, but I'm hoping to maybe I can pick up, if it's magically trapped or if there's anything magical around it. I guess that's kind of all I can do. And since we have a little bit of time, I might as well cast it.
I feel like I want to give Velixis and Brennick inspiration for both of you choosing without actually, um, like cheating with your spell books. Because the fact that both of you have detect magic but not dispel makes me really, really laugh. So you can go through the process of casting Detect Magic. At very least, with that lowest level room, you are going to see um, what invisibility. I can actually look up the spell, but I think that is transmutation. And then I think enchantment is what I said earlier to Velixis, that is like the very light aura that kind of radiates from the whole tower itself. But effectively, I think you are going to see um I probably should have said transmutation because it was meant to allude to the actual power of that room where you turned Dzaan into a real human again. So I think those are the two things that you've got right now. Is the sign of the invisibility on that chest, so you can actually like see the chest because of the aura coming around it. And then the fact that the actual altar um, in that previous room radiates transmutation magic.
Okay, so Brannick would kind of share what he's sensing with Jinbao. It doesn't what I can tell doesn't seem to be trapped. So suppose if we think we can somehow get it back upstairs, perhaps we can figure out some way to get it open. Perhaps one of those on the surface might have a better idea.
And while he was doing all that, I just want to. I think he said that there was the doorway, which is on the east side of the room where the chest is in and the skeleton is in, would have been the stairway. But I don't think we actually opened the door.
Yeah, so if you went in there to investigate a little bit further, you're going to find that same signs of that stairwell, which was previously the way, and just like the others, you see signs of where the snow and ice is kind of collapsed inside of it. Again, kind of confirming that the tower is almost like separated, like a spinal cord, where you've got the bones of the tower and then the actual snow and ice has encroached in where you would normally have like the I can't even think of what they're called, the discs that like kind of like float it so it doesn't hurt your bones. But this tower has been split into pieces, which actually makes me think it's really funny that they have it perfectly split at each floor. That's kind of silly because it also splits in the middle of each floor. But for what it's worth, it happened, and it's not supposed to be magical.
Yeah, just doing basic checking around, making sure I didn't miss anything while he's preparing his stuff.
Yeah, so he was casting for 11 minutes. You definitely have that time. In the long run, though, like effectively, you guys have discovered pretty much everything in this tower. Is kind of the big thing here. So, you have that time. You can eventually confirm there's nothing magical that is trapping that chest. It basically comes to that point where if Jinbao is prepared to pick it up, and the idea is to run as fast as possible to kind of make your escape, that is kind of where we leave you all. I think right now that would include everybody's going to climb up to the next level, and that's where your rope is still hanging, right? Like I feel like we left it hanging kind of
Yeah,
latched across the room that you found Dzaan in, and then draped down into the hole near the Temple of Mistra. So you can have everybody climb up and then leave Jimbao to pick it up on his own. And let me just get a perception from you, Jinbao. So as you like very slowly, you're like in that very like hesitant preparation mode of like eyeing the rope, thinking about how you're gonna like kind of throw this thing under your arm and planning how you're almost going to like pull yourself up in like a quick little pull as you're leaping so you can make this like one-handed kind of climb up the rope, going through all this process, thinking everything else, thinking everything out, and the moment you lift up the box, nothing happens. So you can climb up with everybody else, and get up to that next level, where you all are basically now in that same study that you first met Dzaan. You still have the body of Velixis like unconscious on one of the tables, perhaps even like wrapped in some extra clothing at this point. And you've basically got like Dzaan and Krintas in that room with you, and you can hop up there with that chest. The chest itself weighs 25 pounds. So at present, if you just want to add that to your character, I don't have a feeling that is going to change your inventory a whole lot. Yeah, you've got 37 pounds and 16 strength. That's going to be nothing for you. So you can add that extra, yeah, 25 pounds of this invisible chest effectively at this point.
So we have we can gather the rope up, I guess, after we all get up. And then I did we have rope also to the next floor? Was the next floor the one where we had left it tied to the cage?
I feel like you had to go up and Jinbao brought it back down. I am
Yeah,
pretty sure you
we
all basically have rope from the entrance level, and I feel like you left. I feel like you guys only had 3 things of rope between the 3 of you. So you have 2 things of rope leading out to the outside world, and then you have the one that you were kind of moving forward and backward with the climbing hook, the
that is
grappling hook.
correct. The one we were using for each level, we had to get it, go drop down.
So when you guys kind of like approach this idea, and kind of like bring it up across yourselves, and the Dzaan will actually with a little kind of like snicker, "And that is something that I can indeed help you with." And he'll kind of like bow his head and uttering a few words. You're going to see as his feet kind of like levitate off of the ground just a little bit, and he's just going to kind of like put one finger out and push off of Krintas, and he will start to float up as like the momentum just kind of like continues to carry him. And as he's kind of like floating away just kind of slowly, he'll kind of look to Jimbao and the rope, please.
Mm.
And he's just kind of like slowly floating away from you as his hand like goes out to like reach for the rope.
I guess give it to him.
Much obliged, Dzaan, for your help.
So he'll get up to that next level. After a few moments, you kind of see as he like slides into the hole above, and you're just going to hear a few moments later as he kind of utters a, "Everything should be secured for you now."
It's Brannick will try to. I guess he would try and probably carry Velixis, similarly to with Jinbao carrying the chest, kind of like over a, like almost like a fireman carry, and try to um, move up the rope once Dzaan tells him that's been secured.
I feel like with that one, I'm gonna have you make a strength check for me.
Yeah, because I don't know how much Felixis weighs with all her pack and stuff, but that
She
might
doesn't
encumber
weigh
it.
next to anything, but it's still a lot for you, I think. I think Valixis is like 35 pounds.
Okay, yeah, that gets pretty close to encumbered.
Yeah, so you'll see as like the Dzaan's almost like, I can oh, okay, well, excellent. And as you kind of get up to the top, he'll like reach out his hand to give you a hand up, and you kind of like pull him down onto the earth as he kind of like lifts you up that last little bit onto the next level. But you all are effectively at that point on the second level down.
Yeah, and Brannick is kind of breathing heavily after that, and he'll like looking towards Dzaan, like perhaps you can carry him up if you do that levitation trick again to the next floor. Not sure I'll be able to do that again.
So the floor with the chest on the ceiling is the next one up, or on this level?
One more above where Dzaan is. It was the top level.
Okay. And we explored all the rooms on this level.
This is the level with the two different cages on it. And let's see, I think it was the silent study room, and then basically just like an empty room.
Okay, yeah, I remember. Just basically, if there's somewhere we haven't checked, I want to poke my head in there before we make our way out.
Yeah, I feel like we were pretty fairly thorough on the way and
Yeah,
looking.
I thought so too, but just in case, I wanted to, without touching any skeletons, of course. Lightning bolt me once, shame on me. Lightning bolt me twice, shame on thee.
So I think at some point, we would still have Brennick basically like approaching Dzaan with the idea of the reward he offered you, and I think you're gonna still say something about a ring, and he's going to kind of like look at you a little puzzled, and it was an amulet and some books. Um, but I did forget them in the study. So he'll go back down through the hole again and kind of like almost almost like kind of like reaching down to the ground, he'll like kind of shoot himself down into it. Effectively there is no gravity for him at this point, so he's kind of floating in space. So it's kind of like traveling in a space station. So he kind of like goes head first down into the hole, and he'll like push his way into that room again where you all first met him. And a few moments later, he'll come back out, and he will have, I think it's four more books, and the actual amulet. I think I dropped the amulet into chat last week. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
you
you
did.
can see that it's like those three C's with kind of almost like the like either like you could think of it as like almost blood dripping from them, or almost like they were maybe like a staff with a C at the top. Each kind of descends in height a little bit, but it's just up a little bit in the Order of the Storm chat there, and it's basically like that silver lining around like an ancient kind of wood. But he will return with that amulet. And he will have this stack of four more books for you as well. And I added the books to the group loot list. And I actually did want to like address that on some level. There's quite a few things on the loot list that I feel like still need to actually be chosen, which you all are doing with maybe. There's still like quite a bit of coin on there. Um, the five books you've already found, and I'll add the other four in a second here. And then you all have like some pieces of art, which would be like statues, the chain mail, and what is it, like another like 10 gems that you've found. So all of those are still on the loot list. If anybody ever puts them on your character, you need to delete those. But in general, also, like, as a general reminder, I'd like you all to keep that loot list pretty clean of stuff.
Okay, yeah. So I put the 4 of the books in mine, and then I think I had given the Ajamar's Guide to Velixis. I don't know if he added that to his inventory, so I'm going to leave that one in there just in case. But I'll delete the ones I've got in my inventory.
Gotcha. I am going to post the other 4 books into that. But effectively, again, you cannot read what these are. You have no clue what they are until you cast that spell again.
Right, right.
But at present, I think you should be able to see the updated list. But he'll basically pass on the Lost Scrolls of Sabrael. Actually, that one's in Elvish. I don't think any of you speak Elvish. No, Jimbao speaks Elvish. So he would be able to pick up that one. It is an ancient version of Elvish, so I think this would be much more of you can pick out that it is Elvish. You can find a lot of like root words of it, but this is like reading Latin with an understanding of German or like a modern Romance language. So like French, German, um, damn, I know there's more Romance languages, but I can't like think of any of them right now. But it's
German's not one of them. Italian, Spanish.
I feel like German's got a little bit of it still though, because I can definitely pick up parts of German from my understanding of French. But my point is, it's one of those things where like you can pick out words a lot more than you can understand what it's saying. But it is effectively a discussion of the original scrolls that the Netheril found that basically rose their society to high magical prominence. And that's what that book is effectively a discussion about. Again, I don't think you all necessarily know that until much more of a study kind of undertakes it. And then the Shadow and Substance is a kind of discussion on the weave, and that's almost kind of like what comes about after the Netherese kind of like rose to power. Here Lies the King is a novel basically about illusionism. And then the Ventatost is was that testimonials and conspiracy theories. Um, yeah, and that kind of goes into, ooh, that's weird. That's a book that I would not expect to be in Ythryn, because the city's supposed to have fallen before, so that's kind of weird. Um, I feel like that would almost be like the type of thing like where you have who's that guy who did all the predictions?
Nostradamus.
And Nostradamus, yep. I feel like that last one has got to be like a Nostradamus style prediction of we're almost dooming ourselves to destruction. Because Ythryn kind of crashed, and it was among the first of the Netherese cities to be destroyed, and it happened because of other reasons than the actual um, like dissolution of Mithra that destroyed all of the Netherese society. But those are the other 4 books that he has, and then the actual amulet. I did not add the amulet into there, but the amulet should be there as well.
And Dzaan, what properties do the amulet convey?
Even under the idea that Brannick would have kind of passed it by while he still had detect magic. I feel like you're just going to see a slight magical eminence from it, but it doesn't appear to be magical so much as it It's that weird level of it almost like radiates a magic like long gone. Um, and I think all Dzaan would kind of have to share is, from what I have been able to find, it simply bears the runes of the wizard of this land. It should be the wizard of this tower. Um, and let's see. Let me get an Arcana check from Brannick. Jibao doesn't have Arcana, right? Yeah. Um, with enough of the understanding that that's the actual ruin of the Arcanist whose tower this was, you have a pretty solid understanding that that is the control amulet of a shield guardian.
Ah. And so Brannick will um, share his suspicions with Jin Bao and say if we can somehow find this creature. Being able to control it would certainly come in handy.
And I take it, Desan, that the shield guardian is not the same one that you're currently employing.
Krintos is going to look at you. For the, 17th time, I am my own self. I am dead. I am not a construct. Would you like me to drain your life and prove it to you? I could turn you into a wraith in my service for all of eternity. You would never die again.
I meant no disrespect. I'm
Then
not.
stop asking.
Okay.
This is the same creature that when Velixis went unconscious, he was looking at feeding on her. He is an undead creature that wants to eat all of you. You all look like tasty morsels to him.
Well,
Yes, I
hopefully it's not him.
hopefully I don't recall seeing anything that looked like what I imagine a shield guardian would look like, but
Let me get a. Let's go for wisdom from each of you. You both have insight. You could do insights.
suppose it could have been buried somewhere in the ice and snow when this thing collapsed, or
When you think about the fact that it's buried, you've seen signs of something that dug itself out of being buried. You guys climbed in through the hole of this thing leaving this place.
wondering what would have actually created those tunnels. Now it makes a bit more sense.
That's how a keyword definitely lowers a DC.
And would Brennick know what given that he thinks now he has the control amulet, would he know anything about guardians as to, like, if it's assuming that the wizard is dead, like, does he know what a shield guardian might do after that happens?
I think in general you would understand that a shield guardian is going to shut down. But that also doesn't necessarily mean that a shield guardian won't carry out kind of a final command. And I feel like those are. I feel like that would kind of where it sits. I'm pretty sure writing into the actual campaign that the Shield Guardian created the entrance hole is actually forgetting that when the wizard died, the Shield Guardian would go inanimate. Um, but I like the idea that maybe the wizard commanded the Shield Guardian to go for help, and then the wizard died.
Yeah, I mean, I guess clearly it had an intention to do something. Don't know what.
But yeah, I think in general, see, part of the problem even giving you like Shield Guardian information is it is a very high level spell and creature, and I am not sure it's necessarily something that you would yet know about, but you are getting close to there. I usually feel like you kind of know about like your next level of spells kind of thing. Um, and that is pretty high level magic to create shield guardians. But at the same time, um, I think it's probably one of those things that most wizards have an understanding of, like with any closeness to the Arcane Brotherhood you would know at least one effectively like professor who has like his shield guardian does like all of his work for him, so he never actually has to physically like lay a hand on anything kind of thing. I don't think shield guardians would be super obscure to any given wizard.
Yeah, I guess Brannick is trying to think like, okay, so if the wizard died, like, and it was obviously still moving, is this like, I guess there's kind of two. He's thinking there's like kind of two possibilities. Either it's like carrying out some final something the wizard said, or it's kind of now it's like whatever magic was um had kind of like bounded to the wizard is broken, and now it's almost like autonomous. But I don't think Brannick would know enough. Those are kind of the thoughts that are going through his head, just for kind of context.
Yeah, I think you might. Yeah, I think it's viable to kind of oscillate between that idea. Um, but I feel like you have the kind of most information that kind of solidifies around the idea that this thing carries out its commands, but it is effectively the will of the actual person who controls the amulet. Without the amulet being attached to a living will, um, 27, I feel like it's pretty solid to say you would have a pretty solid understanding that the creature had to have dug out while the wizard was still alive, so that this hole has been here for ages. Perhaps it's rather freshly uncovered by Dzaan's like spies and the people he's been sending out here. But I think you kind of have to kind of work with that. Um, I think that little bit of mystery is this like the first shield guardian to ever have a will of its own? Were the Netherese so powerful that they could do that? Or is it like we understand shield guardians and this thing did all of this before the wizard died? Maybe that's kind of the vagueness that would sit in your mind, is like, was Netherese magic so powerful that it actually did have a will of its own?
Yeah, I'm almost thinking like it's kind of like, their magic was so like it might not even follow the same rule. Because kind of like with Brannick, like the wizardly magic is kind of very like rule based and study based, but it could be something that's completely, because it's pretty much a big unknown for the most part. So can't really assume anything, I guess. Yeah. But Brannick would thank Dzaan for the books and for the amulet, and kind of now that we're getting closer to getting out of here. What you're going to do next, Dzaan? Are we suppose we could escort you somewhere, or you intend to remain with the this Spire?
I need to procure a new spell book. I must start from scratch and hopefully, as soon as possible, continue the search for the city itself on the glacier.
Well, I wish you luck, and suppose it's time for us to get out of here if we can.
So you all are still on that second level. He can continue to levitate up through and onto the first level. He can carry Velixis this time, and assist you all up to that first level. And that's where, if you would like, you can move over to the other chest that is in that northeastern room, and take a look in there.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
before we
I
dismiss him, he can levitate up to the chest.
almost forgot about that. My bad.
Oh, I was waiting. I want to know what's going on. Yeah, Jimbao would turn to Dzaan and say, might have you levitate up and get a closer look at the chest that's on the ceiling/floor.
He can move up to it and kind of confirm for you. This chest is locked.
Is there any way to pry it off the ceiling floor?
He kind of like puts a hand on it and just kind of pretty much in jest, like pushes on it, and he floats away from where he's pushing.
Hmm.
He's basically showing you it's been here for 2,500 years.
I suppose I could try to blast it open.
Yeah, that's my other option. Either is to shoot an arrow.
Can we tell what the material the chest is made of? Is it a metal chest, a wooden chest?
Just says a metal chest. I think for what it's worth, it would probably be, um, more or less, just kind of like steel, effectively. It doesn't look especially nice.
I'm probably not going to be able to. I'm not going to be able to just blast it open.
It won't hurt to try. Famous last words.
Um. Yeah, I mean, if I guess maybe try and clear up a little space as much as we can, and Rennick would.
So you've got, effectively, that's like the northeastern room on that first level. You all can move into like the northwestern room, or you can move beyond like a second doorway. There's like a doorway between those two rooms on the north side of the tower, or you could move one more doorway into that actual hallway, if you want to give even more distance between you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Brennick's idea is to be. Obviously, he needs to be able to have good enough sight of it and um, line of sight to.
Yeah, so it's in like the southeastern corner of that northeastern room. So you would probably be like, furthest away you could probably be is like the far northwestern corner of that little section.
Yes, I think Brannick would do that, and he would maybe suggest that the others, if they can keep even farther away, just in case, maybe over and stay back in the next room
Yeah, we'll send Valix as far away as possible, and then I'll stay in the next room.
So you could take Valixis basically up into that little entrance corridor that's near the slide and where the ropes are kind of dangling down at this point.
Yeah, and then I'll return to the room outside just in case.
Yeah, and then I guess once the others are kind of cleared away, like maybe Jimbao calls out that they're kind of they're in position. Then Brannick would hoping to try to hit, like he doesn't know exactly how it's bolted, but trying to hit like maybe on the edge, kind of where the bottom of the chest hits the what is the ceiling now. Maybe hoping to like weaken whatever is there.
What are you about to do? Are you going to fireball this?
Not a fireball because I can't shape it like Felixis can. I don't think a fire bolt is going to do it, but that's what I'm going to try is a fire bolt.
Gotcha. So yeah, you're just going to plink into this thing, and doesn't seem like fire is going to do it.
Yeah, it would probably, if fire could do it, it'd probably have to be some sort of like extended thing, but it's too high up. I can't reach it with, and burning hands wouldn't even last long enough. Could try it could try something like something a little bit more forceful, not with fire. Try and knock it loose. I'm not sure it's going to work, but that's the only other really thing I can think to try.
Yeah, it's either that or I'm gonna try to shoot the lock.
Whoa, you got a crazy whistle going on there.
Sorry, that was my tea. Yeah, it was either try to shoot it with an arrow if Brannick's next attempt fails.
Yeah, I guess Brannick he'll try and he'll just I guess can he shoot magic missile at an object? Or does that have to be a creature?
I'd say just go for the lock.
Oh. Well, no, because I like it says you create 3 glowing darts of magical force. Each dart hits a creature of your choice that you can see within range. So I don't think I can even like cast it at like a particular space. Like it's something about the magic. It just like it inherently finds creatures, but if it doesn't, there's not like a creature. It probably, and I guess presumably I would know that, so I wouldn't actually cast it.
Yeah,
I
I
was,
think that's a weird kind of gray area. That's kind of curious to me because I guess maybe it directs it to the actual life force, perhaps.
yeah. I sorry, I wasn't trying to. I was trying to just show the description to get whether it was creature or target. So,
Oh yeah, you're good. Just make sure it didn't expend the spell slot.
yep. No, it doesn't look like it did. So all good.
Is it possible to use the climber's kit to get up to the ceiling?
I mean, I think we did discover this one is apparently also locked. So even if we can get up there, we need some way to try to get it open. Or at least my mage hand wasn't able to get it open.
Yeah, but maybe I could bash at it with my -1 longsword or whatever I got. Is there a visible lock, or is it just
I don't see
closed?
why the lock wouldn't be visible.
Yeah, because I'm thinking maybe I can uh, use the climber's kit to get up there and try to take a couple hacks at it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm out of ideas. I don't.
All right. Well, first I'm gonna try to shoot a couple arrows at it with the at the lock with the Kensei shot.
Roll the actual attack die. Yeah, first shot's not even going to hit the actual chest. Just wasting an arrow into the actual wall. Second arrow will blink into the chest itself. Doesn't seem to do anything.
Uh, well, I guess I'll try another two shots just to see.
So you can get one that hits close to the lock, and kind of like doesn't even seem to do anything. Another shot hits into the actual chest, doesn't seem to do anything. One of those four arrows is going to be destroyed in the process of taking these shots, though.
Okay. Yeah. Other than try to climb up and hack at it, I'm out of ideas.
So I think, given this general amount of time, this is when we'll have Velixis essentially coming back to consciousness. In that you guys are approximately kind of 2 hours into this venture of climbing out of the actual spire at present. Um, and it becomes kind of a question for you all. How much time are you looking to invest in trying to get at that chest?
I, th- I think anything else is just fruitless, but I mean, like I said, I'm out of ideas.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm out of ideas as well. I mean, I suppose it's possible we could try and come back sometime later with something that get it open, but
I mean, if you're thinking about coming back with something that can get it open with, that's where we can say you have your friend Kier outside of this spire, and you could effectively make the climb out to get to Kier and come back in. And you guys can basically bring your whole expedition down here.
yeah, I mean, it'll take some time, Shinbao, but that's probably our best chance.
Agreed.
Yeah, so I guess Brannick would kind of move towards the opening. He would call up, hoping as his voice would carry and call for Kier. Say, we need his particular set of skills.
I feel like for how often we just kind of ignore the fact that they're kind of like an extended expedition, kind of traveling with you all. Let's go with the fact that you at very least have to send Jin Bao out to actually get them. And that maybe they've dug into the ice nearby, but not immediately, like at this point, being that it's the most like obvious part in this like entire area of the tundra. And that's part of what I mean. Like, I think you guys actively have to leave the spire to go there. So, do you want to all go, or the safest person to go again is Jin Bao, just because the actual effort for him to leave this place is pretty much without danger?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Brannick can stay down here while Jinbao goes and gets the others. Keep racking his head for any other ideas in the meantime, or maybe just yeah, just kind of wait and catch Felixus up on what's been going on while he goes and fetches here. Yeah, I guess they'd probably be like out, like, I don't know, maybe setting a perimeter or something, so they wouldn't be right by the hole.
And I'll make my way to the entrance and head over to where our followers are.
So yeah, it wouldn't take you long to get them and basically bring the others down into the spire with you, where you guys can effectively reunite the entire group and bring what amounts to Florinda, Red, and Kier down into the spire. So obviously, the cut purse is a thief. They all have like the normal starting equipment that those classes would have, which would include a um, lockpicking set. Um, I believe you can do a dexterity check with Kier to unlock the invisible chest if you would like.
Yeah, we can start with that.
Oh shit, I forgot I do a different mechanic for this. Um my bad. Psych. Roll 3d6. God, it's been a long time since I've had a fucking lockpicking guy. Yeah, so it doesn't take him long to kind of get the three tumblers on this item, and Kier, feeling over it, is going to, assuming it's basically that same room, kind of like after he like gets it open and kind of like pops this thing open, you're going to see that there is a book inside. The top of it bears those same three ruins, those like three kind of descending seas, each of them like over kind of like a staff. But there seems to just be this like leather bound book inside. But Kier will notice in that kind of process of opening it, the chest that is invisible is far more ornate than the chest that is hanging from the ceiling above.
Okay, so I guess and does the chest remain invisible as he opens it? Like you can see the contents inside, but the actual chest itself remains invisible, or does it appear as it opens, like the whatever invisibility spell seems to have dissipated?
I was trying to think of that, and I feel like this invisibility spell is until it's dispelled. That was part of why I wanted to tell it to you like that. Like, I think the thief would kind of recognize that this is like a gemmed chest that he's holding that is invisible.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so he would say like might be worth, he would move to pick up the book. He would um probably take a quick look just to see if he recognizes the if there's any writing on it, if he recognizes the language. But he would I feel like Brannick would be kind of hovering over him, and as he sees the book, is he would be kind of you know, uh, you know take a look at that. But here would probably suggest this senses are tingling, feel like this thing might be valuable, might be worth holding on to this holding on the chest itself as well.
I assume Tyr would search it very well to make sure that there are no hidden compartments or false bottoms or top.
You can roll a perception check.
I roll that with Kier.
Yes, my bad. That is still Kier.
I think, and he doesn't have any skill bonus for perception.
No, yeah. So as he's kind of like feeling through this thing, realistically it would be a disadvantage anyway because it's also invisible. But yeah, kind of like trying to figure out his way through this. It does not appear to have any other kind of compartments to it. But in less time than it takes him to continue this search here, the book that was inside is going to disintegrate. Effectively, if somebody picked it up or wherever it is turning into ash.
So you see Brannick's face would fall as like I feel like Kier's like as he's picking up to hand it to him, it just like disintegrates in his whoops.
Yeah, that's kind of like, again, one of those signs. This is 2,500 years old.
Well, should hold on to the chest at least.
Yeah,
Can't tell
that
you.
could be useful.
And he would also, seems like this is. I'm wondering if that chest up on the floor there is worth all this effort. It doesn't seem nearly as nice as this one.
Looks could be deceiving.
Well, yeah, Kira's willing to, try and climb up and see if he can get it open.
Do a strength check for me with Kier. So he's gonna struggle. It's going to take him a good bit of time to get up there. Again, this kind of comes down to how much time are you all going to invest in this if he's kind of in struggle city trying to make his way up there.
At this point, I want to know.
I mean, I guess if it takes like if he can't get up there within like I don't know 15, 20 minutes though.
Gotcha. So roll 2d6s from like 1d6 each of you. So after a few more minutes of kind of giving him the time to crawl up there, he is going to be able to kind of like get himself up high enough that he can reach the lock. And assuming he's like using the climbing kit from Jinbao, kind of place himself into the wall and kind of be relatively secured up there that he can take the effort to pick the lock. And if you are ready to, he can certainly give it a try to pick the lock, if that is what you currently have in mind.
Uh, yeah. He'll like warn people like away from like in case if he gets it open, whatever's inside might fall out. So just tell people to kind of back away. But then he would try and pick the lock.
Maybe detect magic first.
Could Brannick? Well, Brannick, I guess, didn't really think of it, so we'd have to probably leave him.
I think you could manage that. In the time that he's struggling to get up there, if Jinbao brings up the idea, you guys are like an hour or two into trying to like get into this chest. I don't think that has to be something that Don just brought up. So if you bring up detect magic again, I think you will see maybe a little bit stronger signs of, I think, evocation magic than kind of like the residual background transmutation. But you kind of have like a certain sense. Let me get an arcana check from you, actually. That's a better way of putting it. Yeah, so I think you could pick up that there is probably something in there that is resonating with evocation magic, um, more than simply the kind of transmutation background magic of this whole tower, and that perhaps it is um like shielded by the chest itself. So perhaps it's actually like a lead chest.
Okay, but from what Brannick senses, this evocation is coming from within the chest, not like on, or it doesn't seem to be like a trap on the chest. It's more like whatever's inside it is radiating this.
It's I think the difference is you can clearly tell that it's not like an evocation rune on the outside of it that would just blast somebody who got close to it. It doesn't necessarily tell you whether it is something inside that is a product of evocation magic that is going to happen if you open it versus something that is like actually inside of there and perhaps stable. I don't think it would clarify that for you.
Okay.
But it's very
Um,
much not simply a rune that attacks anybody who approaches it.
I'm almost wondering if we should have someone there to try to, if he can get the chest open, to try to catch it, whatever falls out.
He is 14 feet or so above the ground right now, 14, 16 feet or so.
Yeah, I mean other than Kier. Yeah.
No, that's what I mean. Like, if you guys expect something to come out of this, right now it's going to fall right to the ground. So I think that is a good thought.
Yeah, so I guess I mean Brannick can volunteer to kind of stand under the chest and um try to see if he can catch whatever falls out, and maybe suggest again that, just in case this is something dangerous, maybe kind of have the others try to keep some distance before kind of like nodding to Kier to go ahead and try to get it open.
I'll stand there as well. I mean, mostly we're here because of me. Because I'll stand there as well to see.
Gotcha. So when you are ready, let me get 3d6 from, it doesn't really matter, but from Kier. So with just a few moments, he's going to manipulate these tumblers and click, click, click with a very easy access. He's going to pop the tumblers into place. The chest is going to open, and let me get a dexterity check from Kier, please. So Kier, you can catch the first of 4 potions that are going to fall out of this, and then let me get a dexterity check from Brennick and from Jinbao. And I think Jinbao, let me give you 2 of these. Because I just think that's the monk thing to do. Technically they're saves, and the monk does have proficiency with save. So I'm gonna say, as these 4 potions, one of them kind of like a dark green, one like a soft blue, almost white. One is a like reddish orange, and another one is almost like a clear with like flecks of like purple and black dots in it. And as the chest opens, Kier is going to catch one of them. Brennick will catch one. Jinbao's going to catch one, and as Jinbao bobbles with the second one, you're just going to do that kind of like hacky sack move of like lowering the last one down to the ground with like your toes as you like take all of that momentum from the fall, and the last of these potions is going to softly roll out onto the stone, and you just hear like that sound of like crystal against stone as it just kind of like bobbles on the stone before it comes to rest. But you all have 4 different potions in hand.
And Val, seems you were right to be persistent.
My curiosity got the better of me.
And I think perhaps we're all the better for it. Hopefully we can, as we have a bit of time, we can try and figure out what some of these potions will do.
Oh, my bad. They are abjuration, so that makes it even less paranoid than evocation.
Ah, okay. Yeah, evocation. As soon as I hear evocation, I'm thinking, boom.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and I always kind of confuse. I hate having to say what the spells are because it's not like everything is listed that simply says it. I would much rather just kind of describe certain things than supposed to like know all of the schools offhand.
Well, that should
Yeah.
conclude our business here, I believe.
Yes, I think we've gotten just about as much as we can from this place. Again, good call on that chest, Jinbao. And good catch.
Well done, Kier.
So Kier will climb down, get back out of the, get the climbing gear back over to Jinbao.
I guess we'll start making our way out, putting the climbing gear on, I guess, one at a time. I'm pretty sure I can use the rope to get up, and then you guys can use the climbing gear for that extra bit of security.
What is the order that you all would like to progress forward and out in?
Um, Jinbao, what were you thinking? Sorry.
Well, I'm thinking we can only have the climbing gear on one person at a time, so I guess Valixis and myself first, and then I'll just shuffle back and forth. Um, you know, put the climbing harness on her, assist with returning to the surface, grabbing the gear, coming back down, or at least that's the plan.
Okay, then I guess I could probably have Kier go up next, and then Brannick kind of pulling up the, or yeah, I guess Kier and then Brannick.
Before, could does it look like I'll be able just to use the rope and not have to worry about the harness?
Most of what the harness is there to prevent is falling damage. So 100% you have no reason. Most monks from your level can, what is it, you can fall like 30 feet or something per level. So
Yeah.
you can fall like 180 feet or something at this point. So in the long run, you don't necessarily need that despite being the person who has it. as well, you are very athletic, which makes the climb itself much easier to do, anyways. And that's kind of like the two different things. You've got the actual difficulty of a climb, and like, usually I'll test people like every like 60 or so feet, so it's kind of like two different tests kind of thing to climb out of there, and you have to have both successful, or you might fall or slip back kind of thing. But in the long run, like that's kind of the variable, and I don't think Jin Bao has to worry about it.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna try to assist. I know Valixis is still weak, so I'm gonna try to assist as best I can for uh for her, beginning with her.
Alrighty. So when you go out, you're kind of like watching Valixis's way out to assist Valixis with the climb. So it's kind of Valixis, Jinbao. Dzaan is going to once again kind of levitate himself out. I think Dzan's actually going to carry Quintus um, out as well. So when you prepare to go back in, Dzaan is going to follow Jin Bao back down and head back in to carry the next person out.
So if he's going to carry someone, I would say Kier would suggest that Brannick take him up on the offer, and Kier will take up the rear. 'Cause he's a bit of a better climber than Brannick is.
Gotcha. Um. Oh yeah. See, this is. Let me have you all. Let me have each of you roll a d6 for me. Gotcha. So on the next path, you've got Brennick, Kier, and Red still down inside of there. So if Dzaan carries Brennick, who, I mean, realistically, Jin Bao doesn't even have to go back down. If Dzaan delivers the actual carrying gear. Um, but like, who do you all want to come? Who do you all want to climb up, basically? And do you want to go back down with Jin Bao?
Well, if he's going down, I'd feel kind of weird about leaving Valixis near this undead thing. So if it's not necessary, I'd probably stay up top just to keep an eye on things.
I mean, it's up to you to make a decision here. One, I'm not going to kill Rashad's character while Rashad's not here. And two, Krintas has far less control over himself when somebody is dead and unconscious, or rather, unconscious and dying. Versus when you guys are actually awake and healthy, he's far more like a normal creature at this point because he is still someone who is a very unique creature in that he owes Dzaan a lot more than simply being a white would normally give credence to.
Okay, if I don't feel there's any danger, I'll again go down and assist with the
Gotcha. You assisting is the reason I didn't make us roll for Rashad to actually be able to make it out with Felixis. That was kind of my point there.
yeah.
So if you do go back down, oh wait, we also have Florinda down there. So what? There is Brennick, Kier, Florinda, Red, and technically also a Steel Defender. So what is that? 5 more creatures? And you can help 2 of them out at this point. So we want to bring Brennick back, and who is the second one?
Who's Florinda?
That is technically speaking Valixis's um,
Follower.
follower.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like Kier would probably gesture for Jinbao to help either Florinda or Red. Um, Again, he thinks he might be able to climb out on its own without too much trouble, or at least with less difficulty than a couple of the others. Brannick will accept help, though.
So who else are you bringing out then, Jinbao?
We'll do Florinda.
Gotcha. So we can get those two up to the top. Feel like that's probably going to be the end of what I feel like that's probably about the 10 minutes that Dzaan would have before his kind of dissipates. So you basically have Red, the Steel Defender, and Kier down below. And again, for what it's worth, you guys are looking at like tests that you just slide back down to the bottom if you fail. So whether Jinbao even needs to go down to assist one person versus them actually doing strength checks to make their way out, that is kind of up to you. So if you'd like, they can follow on that second way up. Otherwise, Jinbao, you can go back down. This is again one of those questions of time is one of the resources you have access to. Do you want to have Jinbao do 3 more passes?
I
I guess
thought
regardless, the Steel Defender has to climb up kind of on its own.
Red was the Steel Defender, or
No, Red is your Artificer. The actual Artificer has a Steel Defender.
oh, okay, I got you. Then yeah, I guess assist Red, and then the Steel Defender should be able to make their way.
So let me have each of you roll d6 again. And then I think effectively the Steel Defender and Kier are effectively just d20. Let me have each of you roll 2d20. Do a dexterity saving throw for me, Brannick. I don't think he has it, but he might. Do you have proficiency with that? Bam.
Sorry, was this for Brannick or?
No, this is for Kier, but that looks right. It looks like you rolled it with him. So you can catch yourself as you're basically falling from like the top half. You can kind of catch yourself, and you're effectively still one movement away. So do another d20 for us. Excellent.
I forgot
And then
I forgot to call to bring the rope with you.
I mean, the rope's attached anyways from the top, so you guys can draw it back up.
Okay.
Let me have you each roll another d6 here. So bam, at that point, you all have exited the tower of the Netherese, and you are back up atop the, like out in the open plain. It is late in the day where you can certainly expect to soon have the aurora give way into night. So I think it would be acceptable if you guys would like to effectively go to this spot where you had the followers kind of like stashed off, um, somewhat in view of the spire, or you all can actually start to make your way towards Caer Konig would be the closest place, going along the north side of Lake Dineshire, or you can do something pretty similar where you would travel back towards East Haven, and the south side of Lake Dineshire. What do you have in mind as you have returned to the tundra above? And I'll tell you what the weather is like. Pretty nice. It's, not blizzard conditions. You guys can probably see for about a quarter or half a mile still. There's definitely still ice and wind coming at a higher pitch. but it's probably like 15, 20-mile-an-hour winds, and like previous snow being blown rather than snow actually falling.
And you said it's getting close to dark?
Yeah, you all have a pretty solid sense that sometime soon here. It is technically always dark here. That's why I say
Wow.
it's pretty
Yeah,
close to
yeah,
the
yeah.
aurora giving way, which will like basically become that like complete and utter darkness before it is a waxing moon. So you guys are expecting like a sliver of moon. You're kind of right between the new moon and the full moon right now.
Maybe it's best that we shelter up for the night and take a long rest for Velixis.
It's has been a long day, and but at least the starting of a camp here, so might be a yeah, it might be best to just, settle down for the night.
And does the red recognize any of the potions?
Effectively without any sort of spell, he's not going to have access to anything that can identify that.
Okay.
Those guys are sidekicks. If you die with Jin Bao, he'll become a full character where he might have powers to do stuff like that. But for what it is right now, those guys are really just to have characters close by and to solve the swingy nature of combat with very few players. They are still effectively NPCs who don't have a lot of power to affect the world.
Gotcha.
But like his character sheet that you have access to, like as an NPC, that is effectively all he can do here. He has like
Gotcha.
the basic stats for doing a few different things. But for what it's worth, he is effectively doing like arcana checks against things. But for what it's worth, with Brannick nearby, there's no reason for you all to waste the time checking with him than having Brannick sink time into it. And in the long run, um, I think overall you guys probably have enough information as players to understand what those are. But with the fact that I actually called them out properly as abjuration magic, you have an understanding that those are four different potions of resistance.
Gotcha.
And then
Velixis
you
is,
have a pretty solid idea also color wise that the green one is probably either acid or poison. The white and blue one is probably cold. Um, red and orange is probably fire. And I think purple and black is probably the one that would be most mysterious. Um, but that in general, again, is just one of those things like this is the reason to actually have the spell identify. There's only so much the actual like arcana checks can do without having the ability to cast resistance or without having the ability to cast identify.
and Velixis is still hit points wise still low.
Yeah, on some level, Velixis would still be at 1 hit point unless you guys spent an extra hour once Velixis woke up inside of the tower before doing anything. But for what it's worth, yeah, like if you guys are going to prepare for a long rest, gotcha. So you're just going to throw healing.
Yeah. Might as well use them up before the rest. Are you okay, Brannick?
Yeah, Brennick's looking good after that after that one short rest we had down in the while still inside. Yeah, Brennick's good.
All right, I'll throw one more um, for Velixis. Brannick, you do not get first watch. You're forever forbidden from first watch.
Fair enough.
So I'll take the first watch, and then we'll set a rotation up with the rest of the party members.
Rennick will offer to, yeah, perhaps I'll have better luck with second watch.
Can have Velixis take the third watch, unless you all would like Velixis to do the fourth. But for what it's worth, yeah, I guess there's no light anyway, so Velixis doesn't have to suffer from daylight. And then fourth watch, you could either have Dzaan take it, or Krintas is actually going to stay up with all of you because Krintas does not sleep. So you can either have like somebody like Dzaan do the last watch, or simply allow Krintas to do it.
Uh, yeah, I mean, if Dzaan offers, then Brannick would accept for him to take the fourth watch along with Krintis.
Agreed.
At some point, as everybody's kind of preparing to bed down, Dzaan is going to kind of look over everybody and might can't help but notice the two of you have some magical powers. Might either of you have spare spell book? I could perhaps begin copying my own spells into it now.
I'm afraid I can't help you there, though I know where you might be able to acquire one once we get closer back towards town. And Brannick is clearly lying.
Yeah, you can do a deception check for me. Hey, introduction would be most delightful. Thank you, friend. And he's going to look over to Velixis with the same kind of question in the air. Obviously, I know Velixis did not actually purchase the book yet. So he just kind of like looks a little like kind of saddened by it and recognizes he's close, but still has some ways to go. And in kind of as the conversation goes, he will offer to take that fourth watch for you all. But at present, I believe you said Jimbao would do the first watch. Jimbao, will you roll a perception check for me, please? So, as you all are sheltered in this position here, Jimbao, you and Krintas are kind of like overlooking the group in kind of like a bit of like a huddled hole against kind of like some stone outcropping, kind of like to the southwest of, well, I guess northeast would actually be better with the winds, overlooking the actual like entrance to the spire. And as you're kind of like in this position where you're pretty much covered by the winds, as like anybody who would be looking towards you is basically staring eye into the prevailing wind direction. So the actual wind bites into their eyes, and they're more inclined to have to squint and effectively not look towards you. That's kind of like your inbuilt stealth of where you all are staying. And that's kind of like the position where you all are watching with relative warmth. Anybody who might walk up from behind you would basically come up on the stone, like above you, and be looking down past you and past, or rather, like with um, the lip of the snow on top of mountains. It like goes over the edge, almost rounding off where it's not actually supported. I can't think of what it's called. It's not like a crevasse, but it creates those positions where if you walk far enough, you'll almost like fall through because there's not actually mountain below you anymore. But as you all are kind of in this position, you are pretty well guarded from anything that might come about. And through the evening, Jimbao, you are going to start to recognize that there are voices in the wind to the north of you all. So at present, again, you're sheltered from the wind coming from the northeast. There's basically a wall that is along that kind of like northeastern side of you. And it more or less comes from like the southeast and progresses like north and slightly west. And for what it is worth, I will have you all place yourselves on this map here. And effectively, what I am trying to describe here for you is that you all would have your camp more or less right there, where that actual like wall of rock is blocking you from the prevailing wind. And the Tower of the Netherese would kind of be off to the southwest of where you all are. And you all are at this point hearing noises coming from vaguely north of you, or at least Jinbao and Krintas are. So, with that in mind, what would you like to do, Jinbao?
I would turn to I can't remember his name. The princess.
Yep.
Could you stealthily try to scout up ahead and see if there is anything we should be worried about?
I believe the voices that you hear are sufficient to say that yes, there is indeed something we should worry about. And with that as your first thought, I'm going to have you all roll for initiative. My NPCs are not there to solve your problems.
I might have to reload. Seems like nothing's rolling for me.
Yeah, I don't see anybody on initiative, but you can definitely re-roll. This is one of those classic times where it is probably best if I tell you all, just take a few moments to take like a quick break here while I get everything actually set up.
Okay, should there be a token for red and a token for the steel defender?
Yeah, I'm gonna throw a quick Steel Defender in there for you. But if you have a picture that you would like to choose for a Steel Defender, you can edit that actual model and actually drop it in there.
Okay.
Huh, that's weird. It's just initiative that's not rolling. I'll just roll a
Did
d20,
I
but I'll be
drop
back in
you
a.
all on this page? Yeah, okay, okay.
Yeah, like I thought I tried something else to see if it was nothing was rolling, but it's just the initiative. So I'll just roll d20s. Not sure
Is
why
it
it's not working.
rolling over on D&D Beyond?
No, it's just like blank. And even when I on roll 20, when I click the initiative for Kier, it doesn't for some reason it's not showing up either.
Oh, that's crazy. I got initiative with Velixis. When you get back, or if you've already stepped away, I can say this again, but if you click the red B, that might like resync your beyond 20. Yeah, I can roll it. That's kind of funny. You wanted to send the result of this roll to the turn tracker, but no valid token was selected.
Oh, okay. Now it just... Or was that you rolling?
No, that was me who rolled it. What I was saying, if you stepped away there, is that you might try clicking the red B of Beyond 20 on Roll20 to see if it will resync you to this virtual tabletop, and that might fix why initiative isn't rolling.
Okay.
I see an initiative for you now, Brad.
Yeah, but that was my roll. I just rolled a 19 and a 20 for Velixis and Brannick.
Oh,
Okay, so that 2 is just for a Kier. I can't get it to work. So, and he has a +4 to dexterity.
It should be, though, Brannick's, though. Brannick is a +3, because they're... Damn, did I always do them as just followers? Yeah, I feel like we always did them as they're just following your initiative.
Right. No, you're right. Yeah, I forgot about that. So, yeah. Yeah, and Brannick, Brannick's a +3. So, but I'll be back in a couple minutes.
Yeah, this is crazy. It won't even allow me to add you guys to the initiative tracker. Is it me?
yeah, because I'm still coming up nothing. And I tried refreshing too.
Yeah, I'm just doing a refreshing right now. Hopefully that kind of solves it. Yeah, I wonder if the turn tracker's just broken right now.
Can you remove both those tokens so I can redrop the new pictures onto the board for the follower? Yeah. Remove that one too. The other one.
For red?
Yep. I can.
Yeah, I feel like their initiative tracker's broken right now.
Yeah, that seems to be the common denominator. I'm just looking at Kier's character sheet, and for like the low blow, it says components ruby dust for 50 GP. So,
Wait, what?
obviously,
That's got to be like a mistake.
okay, because I obviously he wouldn't have that, so
Yeah, like I
sure
can look in my actual files to see where I might have grabbed that from, but I don't know any reason why that would be there.
Oh, maybe that's for the flash powder. I don't know.
All right, that is there as a placeholder. When you are in the spell in the editing mode, you can see that. But if you click the cog, so it shrinks it and shows you like flash powder in red, you can see that there are no components for either of those. But if you click the cog, yeah, you see how it shows up when you click the cog? That's
Yeah,
like there, but nothing's actually typed into that. It's more saying like this is what a component might look like.
gotcha. Okay, yeah.
Because I can actually see when you toggle from within the character sheet. But yeah, I was like, oh, holy shit, that's got to be a typo.
Oh, my initiative went through.
The roll did. Let me see. Did it go to the tracker? Because right now I can't add you all to the tracker. Yeah, I'm just gonna do old school on my actual sheet, and I'll tell you who's up next, kind of thing.
Well, if that is the case, can I request that you take my 8 score instead of the 4?
It is always your first roll, so it's definitely the 8 score.
Okie dokie. Because I was bummed. I was like, oh, finally, what is it? Oh, God. Not that 8 is much better, but it's better than a 4.
Right? That was not from my roll, right? I think I rolled Valixis and Brennick. I didn't roll your characters.
No, I rolled mine.
Yeah.
It
No,
just
that's
was.
something that I want people to always recognize is it never matters what you roll. If you rolled the proper die, we always take the first roll. And that's whether you roll, if you roll an insight check and I ask for initiative, we're just going to apply your initiative bonus to whatever you rolled with that insight. And that's the difference. If you roll the d20, that's all that matters.
Gotcha.
Because effectively, by doing it like that, it's always the first die. Sometimes it'll work out in your favor, sometimes it will work out against you. But that is effectively like the only option is to just play the first die. Oh man, what's going on? I can't even drop miniatures right now. All right, I think this is just going to be a theater of the mind battle. I can't even drop the enemies on the board right now.
The old Twilight Zone entrance picture, if you can.
Alrighty, so first up is going to be one of these creatures coming from beyond. I don't think any of you can understand what they are speaking. So as they approach, let's see, our first the first of these creatures to kind of close into this group is just going to kind of leap down from overhead. And it is going to swing out at Kier. And it is going to be at advantage. And it should hit.
Yep.
So this is where we go into the saves. Shit. Offhand, I believe it's just a Constitution saving throw, and I don't remember what the modifiers were for it. I should have re-looked at that thing, knowing that you guys were going to be playing these guys. It's actually going to be 4 con saves because it is 4 hit dice in damage when this creature has surprise on you.
Well, first one was good. Next 3, not so much. And he has no plus to con, so.
Where no plus to his con, and there's no way that the 20 is going to be reduced to where that doesn't save. So he's going to lose 3 of what should be his 5 hit dice right now. What is it? Retainers normally saving throws with a +3 bonus, and they gain an extra +3 with saves made with their abilities listed on their card. Oh, that might be why I had those things sorted like that. So the 11 would count. So he's going to fail 2 of the saves. Save against spells like PCs succeed on save, lose half the spell. If they fail, they lose health equal to the spell level. Okay. It's saved and actually describe the damage. I feel like the DC is the damage of the roll. I think I still roll the damage, and that tells us how much the DC is. I can't believe I just assumed I was going to remember this. It's been so long since we've used these guys. Okay, it takes the average damage, and that makes it a Constitution saving throw against that DC. So these guys are doing an average damage of 11 plus 7. So the initial DC is actually 11. And then it's going to take 4 hit dice. So, or the total is 18 for this spell save DC. See, Matt Colville likes average damage. I like rolling for them. I feel like that would change the DC each time. And that's the exact same. No, that's a 17. So, my bad. That will take him to missing 3 of those saves. So he will be at 2 hit dice.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then there's one more creature coming in at this initiative order. And it is going to go for 2, which is going to be Jin Bao, who is not surprised. He is going to strike out with an 11 will be a miss. And that's going to take it to Krintas, who effectively at this point, one is kind of like northwest of Krintas. Let me actually draw these on there for right now. We'll kind of call them there. And Krintas is going to... Yeah, I think he's going to swing his sword at the one... Oh, wait, I did that wrong. It was on Kier. My bad. So he really only has 1 on him right now. He's going to swing at the one that is going at Jin Bao right now. It's a 7. He's got an 11. These creatures are higher than that, so he's going to swing again with his longsword. That one should hit, and he is going to deal a total of 7 slashing damage to the creature. Oh, I think I figured out why I can't drop him. Oh, thank God. That's going to make things so much easier. All right. My bad there. So one of these is leaping down to attack at each of you. So the one attacking Brannick is going to have advantage. And it is going to crit. Dear fucking Lord. That is insanity. Whew, a lot of ones. That's good. It is going to deal 21 damage to you, Brannick. And then The one swinging out at Jinbao is going to have a 16 to hit. I believe that will hit you, Jinbao.
Yes.
And it is going to deal 8 bludgeoning damage to you. And then that should take us to Jinbao.
Alright, I'm gonna attack the guy directly north of me with the sword.
Gotcha, so you got a crit for 12 damage there.
And I'm gonna spend 1 key to apply stunning strike to that.
Your DC is 14.
Isn't it 8 plus proficiency
If
plus?
you click Stunning Strike, it'll show it, but it is, yes, it should be your Wisdom modifier, your proficiency bonus, and 8. I believe your Wisdom is a +3, your proficiency is a 3. Should be 14.
You are correct.
Yeah, so you're going to see as he kind of freezes up, he seems to be stunned.
Okay, and then I'm gonna use my other attack for an unarmed strike to the guy north east of me.
You are going to get a hit, like, right off of his armor that kind of sinks into his flesh.
I'm gonna apply stunning strike to that one as well.
This one seems to kind of shrug off the blow.
Then I will use my I should have done that, but I didn't. Yeah, so I'm gonna use 1 more key for flurry of blow.
Who are you attacking with that?
The same guy to the northeast of me.
Gotcha. Will sink into his flesh.
There should be 1 more in there. Actually.
You gonna attack him again? You gotta let me
Yeah,
know who you're attacking before you roll then. You
yeah.
should tell me one at a time. I'm about to attack that same person, then roll the attack.
Gotcha. Yeah. Once the guy to the north of me was stunned, I'm going to the northeast.
I understand, but part of what I want to know is, are you always going to ignore stunned people? Because you have advantage to attack the stunned person. And I want to know that before you roll. Because if you roll a 1 and a crit, you don't get to then choose the stunned guy and get that crit. That's why you have to roll, and like you have to tell me before you roll.
Gotcha.
But you can hit that unstunned character again, and at that point, that creature will look bloodied.
That will be my turn.
So from that, it is going to go to red. Oh, my
Uh,
bad. Red is technically speaking unconscious. Um, they will start to wake up here as they are basically surprised. The Steel Defender cannot be surprised, and while its master is incapacitated, it can act on its own. So it will effectively charge into attack. I would say, for what it's worth, it is going to attack the stunned creature to the north of you. You can decide how it runs to get there, but I think it would run pretty clearly, like right over red, right past you, and close into that gap there.
I'm going to do that. Since he's stunned, he's going to go prone.
Such a weird one because it's supposed to follow. Roll a d20 for me. Okay, solid. Roll one more just to see if it's a crit. All right, word. So yeah, it'll do 6 more to that character. And yeah, and it will fall prone as well. And I think that'll take that one to the bloody condition as well.
And that will be it for me. Me and my friends.
So this is where Brennick and then Kier would wake up, and you would have access to your reactions. I think you can stand up too, so you wouldn't be prone anymore as well. I think you're just limited on taking action economy. I don't think it stops you from moving when you're surprised. So effectively at this point, the party is all up and active. And we are going to go back to the top of the order. The first one attacking Lucian Bao, which you are now at 18 AC, will miss with a 14. And then this one, I believe, was attacking Kier, will miss with a 7. And it's going to go to Krentos, who's going to go for the stunned one. And he's going to miss with a 15. Yep, and he's going to try one more time at the stunned. And the 16 just gets past its armor. And he's going to deal... He's stunned and prone on the ground. Yeah. So he is going to deal +2. Damn. 3 more damage to him. So 2 more of these like big hairy creatures standing about like 6 or so feet tall are going to leap down from the rocks above you. And they are again going to swing. One is going to be at Krintas or Kier, and one of them is going to be at Red. So the one kind of coming down at Kier. 13, I don't believe that hits his AC. I think he's at 15. And then one coming down at Red. And that definitely doesn't hit. So that will then bring us to Lucian Bao. You have the creature that is still stunned up until the end of this turn. As far as I can recommend here, I would say while you have a chance to, kill it while it's stunned.
Yeah, I'm going to attack the north with my sword.
A crit for 11 damage.
And
it is mortally wounded.
And follow that up with the unarmed strike.
That's actually going to fail to hit.
Bonus action, unarmed strike.
Oh, my bad. I just attacked. Did I attack Blue Jim? I think I missed with it anyways, but that one was stunned. The unarmed strike, 13 is a miss as well. So it is no longer stunned. That one is technically still prone, though, because it was still stunned last turn. And that will go to red.
I guess red is going to attempt to attack the one to the east.
Gotcha. Solid crits. That is going to take that one to bloodied. And effectively, how the Steel Defender is set up, you can use one of its like dailies to attack only that same creature. Essentially, if red is awake, you can only attack like red's target. Would you like to use it and effectively have the Steel Defender move over to make an attack? All right, the one that is prone is going to swing out at it at disadvantage, which will miss, and then another one of them is just a normal attack at it, and that will hit. Let's see. So 9, 11 will be the DC. I think you got to do it the same way. No proficiency bonus, though, maybe. I think you got to roll 4d20. And you need to roll 8 or higher on at least 2 of them, or that creature will. I think at least 3 of them. At least one of them? Yeah, at least one of them. We'll say it has one less hit die than red does. So it's going to take 2 wounds there, and it has 2 left. But when you go to attack with it, burn that hit that effectively it's set up like a spell right now. Burn that ability, and it does 2d6 damage automatically, and the bugbear will test to see if it falls prone, which it maintains its footing. That's why it was like so weird to have it roll without red being conscious. It's because it's normally like latched on to an attack roll. And I think that's going to take us to Brennick.
All right, so Brennick cursing as he feels this kind of like blade slice into him, scramble into his feet, seeing they're kind of surrounded, just going to, um, holding out his hands, kind of shouting for Kier to watch out, is going to blast a burning hands towards the creatures to the left of him, hoping to hit the 2 of them.
Gotcha. You can definitely get the 2 of them.
Yeah, DC 15.
Oh, what? They are both going to save, so they're going to take half damage here.
All right. Yeah, that's all Brannick can do. Kier similarly is cursing as he scrambles his feet, grabbing his rapier and stabbing out at the one to his left, which I think is the one that attacked him. Looks like that'll miss.
Yes.
And he doesn't have like the bonus actions of a regular rogue yet,
No,
right?
not anymore. Or not yet. That's part of why I say, like, they've got everything kind of built in until they actually become a main character.
Okay. But I do think he's going to um that'll be 2 opportunity attacks. He's only got 2. No, he's gonna just stay put for now. So that's their turn.
Depending on what you're thinking, yeah, he's got 3 on him, but 1 has already swung.
Oh, against the defender, right?
Yeah. So, like, the 2 that are, like, west and south of him, those could get opportunity attacks on him. But the one that is west of Brennick has already attacked. But that's also one of those weird things where, like, you could move with Brennick, proc shield, and that would take opportunity attacks from 3 different creatures and allow both of your characters to strategically redeploy. But that might be something to think about next turn that perhaps would be able to get you into a better positioning. But it's kind of up to you to kind of decide there.
Yeah, I'll keep that in mind for next turn.
Because that's one of those things that I would like to always stress to players. Like, combats where you're actually moving around makes so much more sense than combats where everybody just stays right where they started.
Yeah. I'm gonna have a move next turn, I think, depending on what happens in the interim. But that's it for them.
So I think that will take us back to the top of the order, where we have one is going to stand up. Um, he's going to say something to you all. Nobody's going to understand it. Let me get insight checks from Jinbao and Brennick. At best, the 2 of you are going to pick up that this creature's tone of voice is certainly changing at this point. And let's see, it's going to stand up and I think it's going to leap up and to the northeast, leaving the combat. Doing anything about that, Jinbao? Doing anything about that, Brennick?
Like Brennick's kind of he's focused on the other ones, and I feel like he doesn't have his knife out yet because he was surprised. You know, and he's if it wants to flee, he's okay with that.
Gotcha. Jinbao, doing anything about it?
Oh, it looks like he's muted in Discord. He might be trying to talk and not.
Oh, I
Oh,
gotcha.
yeah. I'm sorry. My fat finger hit the button again. Yeah. I wanted to swing at him with a longsword as he's trying to leap away.
So this one is effectively at the exact same time anyways, but it is going to swing into Kier. That should hit with a 18, and it's going to set the DC at 8. So you need 2 saves with Kier that you have to roll 5 or higher. Yep. So 1 through 4 with both of them is death.
So I'm rolling how many d20s?
2. My bad. And I think he's got 2 hit dice left. Yep, so he'll save both
Yeah.
of those hit. And then it is going to go to Krintas. Let's see, the 2 around him are bloodied, so I think he's just going to go for the northern one. That will miss, and another strike at it will hit. And he's going to do 5 more damage, taking that one to mortally wounded. You're going to see that creature kind of respond in a pretty similarly furious voice as when they initially attacked you all, and it is going to strike out at Krintas and will miss, and that should take us to. Oh wait, I need to roll one. To Lucian Bao.
Okay, question. How do you do the movement per square to show you exactly which route I'm taking?
Oh, my bad. I do actually have creatures between you, but when you are going to, the only way to show a route is to measure it, and you just do, either snap to center or no snapping, and then you want to make sure that it's set on show to others, and then you right-click every time you're going somewhere, but that allows you to basically show, an actual route.
Okay, so
Oh, my bad. I do have one more set of creatures that's actually before you.
okay.
And by one more set, I mean both. All 4. Because it's 5 of the creatures are higher than you. So that was the guy who died. No, I think I just did the second. The 11s. I think I skipped the 14s. The 19 ran. Oh, Krintos. Okay, attacked the other one. So yeah, I didn't skip the 11 or the 14s. I miss having the initiative counter. So I think right now one of these is on Brennick. Gonna swing out with a 4. It's just a wide swing. You can kind of see it's furious to see Jin Bao kill the one that was trying to retreat. The one to the east of Red is going to kind of look over in hesitancy as all of its muscles tense up, and it's looking to kind of move to the east, and it sees what happens to the one north of Jinbao, and it is going to turn back around, and it is going to swing into Lu Jinbao, and will miss wide, perhaps a little bit too angry. The next one is attacking Lucian Bao. Should be at 18 AC. Gonna go wide. And then one of them attacking Kier from below. And it's going to miss. And that will take us to Lucian Bao.
I'm going to yell at Brannick as I run out. Looks like it's the first watch that cursed, my friend, not yourself. Then I'm just going to outskirt them all and then move here.
So you're just moving through Kier and to the other side of him there?
No, I'm going to take the long way around. I'm going to go north and then all the way around the outside.
Alrighty, so I'm going to take 3 attacks at you. As you leave combat, the one east of Red is going to swing at you. The one north of Krennic is going to swing at you. He's going to hit you and deal 13 bludgeoning damage to you. And then the one west of Brennick is going to swing out at you, and he's going to deal 6 bludgeoning damage to you.
Okay. Then I'm going to. Oh, damn it. Attack the guy to the north. Sorry. Close the.
Gotcha. Make those attacks. Which is the first one? Going for sword, unarmed strike.
Yeah.
Longsword on him is going to miss.
Follow that up with the unarmed strike.
Unarmed strike will miss.
Okay, I'm going to use one more key to activate the flurry of blows for 2 unarmed strikes.
Gotcha. Where's the first one going?
To the north.
Gotcha. Solid strike. Gonna follow up with the second one to him.
Correct.
With those 2 strikes into him, he will be bloodied by your onslaught.
And
And that should take us to red.
Yep. Red's going to continue with the one to the east.
A solid strike into it, and that's going to kill it. And that should take us to Brennick, unless you would like to move red.
No. The armored defender is not going to.
It can only attack something that red has attacked.
Gotcha.
That's why I say that ability, you will pretty much never get to use that. That was me giving you a little bit of extra homebrew, because the only time the Steel Defender can ever act on its own willpower is when the armor is unconscious. So being asleep or knocked out at 0 hit points, those are the only times that it can just act with its own willpower.
And I'm taking it the administer healing is from red and not the construct.
It is indeed, and you've used it twice. I think that should only be twice a day.
Yeah, you're right. We didn't get our rest in. I'm sorry. End of my turn.
So, Brannick, right now you've got 2 of these creatures, like hairy, bloody humanoids, standing probably about a foot over top of you, east and west of you that are bloodied, and one of them still kind of like striking down at you from the west.
Yeah, so as like Brannick sees Jinbao kind of moving past him and seeing these things turning to strike at him, he's going to try and use that opportunity to move and get a bit of distance. And he is going to. I think he's going to go ahead and do the same thing, splaying out his hands, casting Burning Hands at 2nd level. Again, hoping to hit again the same 2 to his.
Feel like you could drop the actual counter for Burning Hands, but I think if you don't want to hit here, you probably have to go one more south with Brennick to actually do that. Yeah, I feel like just like imagining the actual counter of it instead of always having to show it. I think that might be the spot that you have to be in.
Okay, yeah. So he would maneuver himself to there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like from the other spot, I don't think you could do it without hitting him. You can do that to hit the 2 of them. Although I
Gotcha.
guess
Okay.
that might be what it means to do. I don't know. I don't like templates versus in general. I feel like you can kind of like figure out what's going to happen.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking like I almost aim it a little bit more towards the north to hit yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of like the given spot that you can definitely do it. I don't know if you actually want to be that close, but that's why I feel like there's a certain level of you can make it hit. That's part of where like certain templates, it's actually nicer to have like the theater of the mind.
Yeah, the cones and stuff always kind of get me. Spheres are easier, but
Well, and there's like two different shapes of cones. Like the 5 is the other kind of cone. That's like straight out, or the 4 pieces that's like straight out of like Tetris. That's one of the other cones, like having it like a T.
right.
One of them is definitely going to fail. Your DC is 15. The other one's going to succeed. So it's the northern one. The one that succeeds has the least amount of hit points. Does it have enough to live? Yes, it is. It is going to be reduced to mortally wounded, taking 6 hit points.
So Brannick lets out a curse as you see this thing still standing. He's like, finish it off, Kier, and Kier is going to attempt to do just that.
And the other one is actually going to be mortally wounded as well, as they both burn.
So Kier attacking again, the one to his left. Nope. But he is also going to move and try to get. He'll take, I guess, the one opportunity from his south, but he's going to try and get around the other side.
Gotcha. That one is going to crit as he leaves combat. I think that DC is going to be too high for him to live through. So that is going to drop him unconscious.
Hey, he got the chest open. That was the real important thing.
He almost died. He almost died like the first fight he was in too against the ice troll. So yeah, he's
He served his purpose well.
yeah. My sidekicks don't have a great track record.
Dude, Chris had the best one with his little thief cut purse, who took like 95 attacks in the like flower zombie raid. That thing tanked so many fucking attacks, and Chris was just on fire with the saving throws. But these creatures like hit like they are large creatures. That is definitely part of where like their threat level is definitely the fact that they are hard hitting. Um, yeah, I guess last test to see if these things are getting backed up here, probably.
They look like bugbears. Is that what they're?
Yeah, they're bugbears. Yeah, I didn't mean to say it, but I said it once. I like describing them as big, like hairy humanoids who are pretty much like 6 to 7 feet tall, rather than actually giving away what they are. I don't like using creatures' names. It is pretty much always a mistake when I say something's name.
Yeah, it's good for people who try to metagame.
Yeah, like the guy who I had who was about to join this game and somehow didn't recognize that it was a pay-to-play game, told me like one of the books that he bought was the Monster Manual and he's been reading it. And I'm like, if you're trying to play the game, you should not be doing that. Um, but that's one of those things like I've had multiple players who fess up basically to reading the Monster Manual in their free time, and I'm like, and you've inspired me to create new creatures for everything that you are going to meet in this campaign. So starting with the 19s, I think it is just the one to the west of Kier. He's contact with 2 people, but he kind of has red right there. Um, just watched you kill his leader. I think we're going for a test. He's gonna hold out. Gonna go for. Let's see. I think Liu Bao. Um, striking out at you. 18 should be your DC. He's going to deal 14 more bludgeoning damage to Liu Bao.
Ouch.
Let's see, the 14er. He's just looking at what his target is. He's gonna go for the dog. Gonna miss. Um, kind of see like he's in a rage, a little bit more worried about um, the bugbear that you guys killed earlier, than perhaps the well-being of everybody. And then this one is north of Krintas. Gonna hear as this one says in common, very broken. It's almost going to like kind of like croak out in broken common. Surrender. Spare. Free. Take what you will. Um, Pintas is going to raise his sword to its chest, and you will hear him say, "So you speak common?" And he'll look to the south. "All of you, lay down your weapons." And I think that'll leave two more sets. Yeah, I still fucked this up because Krintos goes before most of these creatures. Yeah, I think it's the creature who would have been on Brennick was 11. So he's going to kind of go prone as he like basically spins his mace in his hand and almost like leans down on his mace, like the head of it into the snow. And then the one north of Krintos is going to do the same, even though that doesn't really make sense because of how I did that. But we're going to continue forward with that. And it is going to go to Liu Bao. What would you like to do?
Uh, has everybody, or it's just the people, the bugbears whose turn it was, have surrendered their weapons? I'll repeat
Right
what
now,
Quint.
you just see the two. Basically, like the one who is northwest of the body of Kier and the one that is north of Krintos. The two of them are effectively like in the process of surrendering right now.
I'll just reiterate: put down your weapons, and we'll let you live. And ready an attack if any of them tries to look at anybody's side eyes.
Gotcha. So, right about this same moment, two more are going to kind of like rush out of the snow, and you're going to see as they kind of like pick up on the words in this moment, and start to like stow their weapons, basically like hanging from their belts. And they're going to reach out for their dead. And you'll hear one of these who comes out in a little bit more like proper common. Tend to your wounded. We are no threat to you. And you're going to see is this one kind of like west of red is going to like fully kind of bow, effectively taking its eyes off of this battlefield to like bow down to both you as well as like reaching for its dead. It's not prone like on the ground, but it is effectively prone mechanically here. And it's going to go to Brennick. Um, you are effectively out of combat here unless you guys push this combat.
Yeah, so Brannick is going to, seeing as they're starting to like lay down their weapons and hearing these words, is moving towards Kier. Um, Kind of coming back around. He's gonna like call to the one who spoke. Why did you attack us? And he's going to attempt to stabilize Kier. I believe is a medicine check.
That's correct. Yep.
Nope.
So kind of like messing around in his wounds, you kind of worry about maybe you actually made it worse. And perhaps Kier is closer to dying than he was before. But let me get an actual death saving throw from you, Brennick.
Yeah, I was going to try to jump in and assist.
For what it's worth, it's just a D20. Yeah, so he'll get one kind of stabilized point there. Depending on how things go, if you'll continue with the actual conversation here, you'll yeah, so we'll keep it a little bit in initiative here. One of the creatures that is like kind of west of Kier is going to like slowly back away from him and move to the north of Brennick, and you're going to see as he actually tries to do the same, and he's going to kind of approach this creature. And you'll see as he kind of wraps wounds in a very similar way. The bandages probably not as clean as somebody would like want them to be, but these creatures also don't seem to be nearly as clean as humans might need to be. But he does seem to be on some level bandaging a creature in a pretty similar way as to what a human would do for a fellow human. And as he bandages this creature, again, this one kind of speaks in a pretty broken, common. He was trying to flee. We know the plains are dangerous. Your people who roam these lands kill us on sight. We expected no less from you. And you're gonna see as he seems to staunch the wounds of that creature. And let's see, I think one of them from west of Lucian Bao is actually going to do the same, kind of moving off past red. And seems to staunch the wounds on that creature as well. This one doesn't seem to be as like apt to speak. Perhaps it doesn't have the same capabilities as some of the others. But if it gets back around, I think, yeah, I think it would go to Lu Jianbao. What are you doing as these creatures kind of like go about this?
You you said you attacked us because you thought we would attack you, but you didn't give us much of a chance.
So I think by now we probably have everybody more or less um, pretty solidly out of combat. And the actual battle map doesn't need to be nearly as accurate at this point. Um, the one to the farthest to the east, you pretty quickly are going to recognize as a little bit more of a leader than the others. And perhaps, if anything, seems to have some sort of perhaps shared command with the one that is the one like unconscious, and with the purple, the fatally wounded marker up on the north. And you can kind of see as they go about this conversation, it kind of regularly like looks to that one and across to the other ones. Let me get a religion check from the two of you. So both of you can kind of gather there's a pretty solid awareness that the one to the east is perhaps a spiritual leader. The one to the north is perhaps a little bit more of like the strong man of this group, who one leads them in war, one leads them in kind of like they're a little bit more cultural needs. And the one that is speaking to you is the one that is the like spiritual leader. You see signs of it being a little bit more like a druid. You haven't seen it specifically casting magical spells at present, but it does seem to have a little bit of the actual iconography that kind of sets it apart a little bit more. But it seems to have like a little bit more furs, a few different like decorations and things that seem to be kind of like hanging from its actual like fur and whatnot. But as the conversation kind of goes on, it will respond to Lin Jinbao. Your people kill our clan on sight. We had the opportunity to surprise you. It is our way to take any strategic value and use that regardless of whether some can convince others that there are better choices to pursue. And let me get an insight check from the two of you. Both of you notice, but Brennick perhaps notices a little bit more from everybody else, that as he says this, he's no longer speaking to Lu Bao. That when he says, perhaps when others know better choices to take, he's looking around at these other creatures. And perhaps at this point, you're kind of recognizing, and again, Brennick recognizes as most of them kind of drop their heads in a form of shame, that perhaps this creature that came so late to the battle was trying to tell them not to assault you all in the night. But they are also speaking not necessarily about you, but about the Reg nomads, who are the people of this land. You all are just visitors in somebody else's home right now, and you all have dealt with the tiger tribe. It shouldn't be too surprising to recognize why these creatures would attack first and ask questions of the dead.
Yes, we've had our own run-ins with the tribes that call these plains home. We received no warmer welcome than as your clans are used to.
But in the end, perhaps talking presents options that are available other than steel and death.
Tell me, are you familiar with the name Bjornhild, leader of one of these tribes?
I think when you bring up the name, you'll see like a sign of recognition to it, and you'll see as it looks to you and is this your shaman, Yarnil?
No. I bring up her name because if she is one of the ones who troubled you, I thought it you would want to know she'll trouble you no longer. Made the mistake of
Salvis' daughter is dead. I would like you to make a perception or a persuasion roll, and because you're telling the truth, you can make it an advantage. Then it is a fair meeting indeed that we cross your paths. And again, this creature's going to bow its head, quite low, almost taking its torso down to the earth and to the snow as it bows to you for a very long pause before kind of raising back up and making eye contact with you all again.
Brennick would like kind of return the bow, maybe not quite going quite down so far, but um, kind of like a formal response.
And what are you called? What is your name?
It's going to look at you and again at this point speaking in goblin, kind of like mutter like a gibberish to you before kind of like looking up to the sky, um and kind of like pointing out a few stars, and you kind of see as a moment goes and it's like kind of pointing out a constellation to you. And then after a few moments, kind of takes a second to think, and then it says like Zelishka. And then it kind of like looks around and it like points to the steel defender, but like raises its arms like bigger. And let me get an insight check from you. Or even animal handling. No, neither of you have animal handling. Yeah, I feel like insight would be the best one that each of you have. So you kind of gather that it's talking about a constellation um that is like, I think it'd be enough that Lu Jianbao could recognize the constellation as like a bear. And when it kind of points to the steel defender and kind of makes this sign of like bigger, Zeljiska might be their word for bear or some sort of bear. Um, but a effectively like you're getting this name from this creature is somehow bear.
Is your clan based near here, or are you traveling through?
Again, he like takes a moment to like think for some words. We are fleeing the cackling ones. Spine of the world is no longer safe for our people. We have come to the ice, to these lands.
Is this the remnants of your tribe, or are there more of you? We have heard some stories about the spine from some kobolds that we ran across a few days back, who we managed to speak with and not fight, by the way.
You took one captive.
As we
I
had
guess
no.
two, actually.
These ones travel with us of their own accord. Cackling ones. Brannick's going to try and
Going to
describe.
kind of like stop you, Brannick. You travel with kobolds. Meeting kobolds is easier if you travel with kobolds. And then he's going to just like kind of slam his fist into his chest. You travel with bear. Meeting bear is easier. And then he's going to look back to Brannick. Clearly, he took offense to you saying that, Shinbao. They feel no regret for attacking you. These things have dealt with the Reg Nomads. You all have dealt with the Reg Nomads. He took great offense to having that brought up again.
These cackling ones, and Brannick's going to try and like physically describe what a knoll might look like, and what you mean, cackling ones?
Make a performance check for me. So, was Brannick part of this group? Have you dealt with gnolls yet with this group? I feel like that was Cat. Damn, I can't even think of the name offhand right now.
Oh no, you're right. Yeah, Carvath was still with the group because we only fought the gnolls that one time. We've heard about gnolls with like the who killed the farmer or trapper or hunter or whatever, but I don't think since
Yeah, okay.
Brannick's. Yeah, now that you mention it, you're right. I don't think since Brannick's been with the group that we've actually come across them. So he would essentially be, if he'd heard like secondhand descriptions, he'd be relying on those.
Let me look at something here. I actually have to go to the bathroom. I didn't take a break earlier, so let me take a bathroom break, and I want to look at something to confirm something real quick before I go forward with this. So let's take like 15 minutes, but if we can not take 15 minutes, like the sooner everybody gets back, that would be better.
Sure. Yep.
Okay.
All right, I was just throwing my earbuds back in. Are you back at your computer, Don?
I'm here, but give me a second to get to the computer.
Oh, good. I mean, if you can hear, that's 90% of it. Oh yeah, I was supposed to look at something. Yeah, let me still do that.
I'll lean into Brannick and whisper, maybe you should take the lead from here on out.
Just don't try to wear it into them. Like, you guys always ask me, like, why can't we just have a conversation? You're there. Just don't try to, like, throw salt on the fresh wound.
Yeah, I guess in retrospect, I didn't realize the one I was talking to was the one who was the proponent for nonviolence to begin with. Jimbo would offer up his apologies and saying, I meant no offense.
Yeah, I think the impasse of describing the gnolls is going to get lost in the language here. Um, I don't think you all are going to come to a solution that actually lets you know one way or the other. The words this creature is able to come up with don't really plug into common. Um, and the way you describe what you've heard from the people of East Haven don't necessarily confirm it to this creature. And I would say there's a certain level of you're intelligent enough to see that perhaps the dots do connect. And that's where I'd say, Justin, you are correct. Like, they are describing gnolls. Um, but like the actual characters are kind of getting lost in where the conversation is going. And I think it would be enough that Brennick might recognize that these creatures have never been to East Haven and maybe cannot imagine the way you describe where they are to the east, just as much as their language doesn't necessarily know how to use common in a way to talk about this enemy. And maybe that's kind of the loss, is like they're still using language of enemy more than ways of describing something as a creature. And it's kind of like they're saying, like, the enemy that cackles, or the ferocious cackle, kind of things like that. And I feel like that's kind of where this conversation would get lost in. It's vaguely confirming that these creatures have come by that area, but it's not like assurance of it.
Right. Gotcha. So, oh, go ahead.
No, I thought better of it. You keep going.
What do you have in mind, Don?
I was just gonna. I would ask, have you encountered other enemies in your travels north?
I think you're going to get the confirmation from this creature. The way it describes things is it's almost going to respond in this way of kind of confirming, like, enemies are everywhere. Friends. And it's going to kind of like look around to the few other gnolls that, or not gnolls, the few other bugbears there are, and like kind of hold up like one hand. Friends are few. And again, kind of like bow its head to you all. And in the long run, that's kind of confirming, like, they find enemies without any problem out here.
It's
finding someone who you don't need to kill that's rare.
right.
Well, I would hope that now that we've had a chance to speak, you will consider us friends. Hopefully, we can avoid any such misunderstandings in the future should our paths cross again.
Let me have each of you make persuasion checks. It's going to look kind of saddened and taking a moment to kind of search for words. Going to hear it say something in Goblinoid. It sounds kind of like horrific. And you see as the other ones seem to, on some way, kind of almost confirm whatever it said. And then it's going to kind of like look to you all and I fear it is dangerous to have found friends that look like you. And then it's going to kind of like try to search for the words to kind of like mirror that thought for you. That it might be dangerous for you to have friends who look like them. And it's kind of like looks kind of like beat and defeated as Jalika like kind of responds. We will each leave our guard open to wounds, knowing that the other is here. And you'll see as it kind of like, it doesn't actually like claw at its chest, but you can see as it like kind of like mocks this like gashing wound across its heart, like across and over its breast, as it like shows this wound, and it's kind of like showing you all like it might be more dangerous for them to know, because effectively, as another reminder, all of you look like every other human out here because you're bundled up in cold weather gear, and all of them look like bugbears to you. Like they don't look like anything but like kind not necessarily ravenous, but ravenous hairy creatures that are like large dangerous creatures. And it's kind of like sharing this thought that it fears what it means for you all to have discovered each other.
Brannick will nod, kind of thinking he understands. It's I agree. It's dangerous to down one's guard. We've certainly seen that ourselves. But at least for now, yeah, and he's gonna Brennick will kind of look towards Jinbao for like confirmation. Perhaps at least for now, it would be safest to perhaps try to camp together, better numbers, get through at least one more night.
Jimbao would respond, yes, it would be dangerous for you to let your guard down to people who look like us. There are dangers everywhere in this land. But perhaps for now, it is better to have a few more friends than a few more enemies. Perhaps there's a way that we could identify ourselves to each other, and if we have dealings in the future. But for now, I think it's preferable to have a few more friends and a few less enemies.
Um, Let me have each of you make one more persuasion check. I think it's going to. I think he'll take like kind of like this little like trinket kind of woven into his hair, and kind of like taking it out. It's almost just like looks like kind of like a stone that perhaps has been mixed in. And kind of like taking it and almost like tearing away the hair itself is going to like pull it away from its flesh. Um, and kind of like pulling off like a little bit of like a rag from inside of its belt or from its belt. It's just going to wrap this little thing and kind of like moving towards you will set it down, kind of fold it up, and it just kind of like looks towards you and he can find friendship, but our ways are beyond each other. And you'll kind of hear as it says effectively what you've gathered its name to be in Orcish, or not in Orcish, in Goblinoid, which on some level basically gives you can kind of hear the actual sounds of Zulika. Um, and it's just going to kind of like respond as it kind of like sets its hand over top of this little like trinket that it's kind of wrapped up, and kind of like looks to you as it kind of like moves it towards you again.
Trying to think if I have kind of.
So Brennick will kind of looking in at the token, and similar, I think, to Jin Bao, trying to think of maybe something they can provide in return. Um, he is going to like reaching into his pack. He's going to um, draw out a piece of parchment and an ink bottle. Um, he's not sure, but he's thinking, he probably assuming that these creatures are probably not likely to um, use much of this. Maybe it's something that can kind of be recognizable, that not likely to be holding up, and he would kind of write on the parchment. Uh, Maybe he would try and make I think of a symbol we could use. We just like you know uh, friends of um, Brennick and Bao. Now has something better in mind.
No, that's what I was searching for, some kind of trinket, but I don't. Other than a gem, I don't think we're carrying anything. Some kind of personal item. I don't know, like a prayer bead or something like that. Something that I have.
You tell me.
I think it would be best to have some kind of personal trinket, but I'm trying to think of what I would have on me.
Maybe we could give them. Brannick would maybe thinking better of the parchment idea. Maybe he would reach into his pouch and pull out one of the scrimshaw pieces that I think we had received as payment. Um, and kind of try and picking one that he would recognize. Um, maybe offer that.
So you have it like in a collection of other scrimshaw.
Yeah, so I have I think we had gotten like as part of the payment from the Vesa. I think we gotten some in like gold, but I had some as like scrimshaw pieces. I have like 16 5 gold piece scrimshaw pieces, and I was thinking I would offer one of those, thinking I don't know if they're just kind of like rough scrimshaw or if they're actually carved pieces.
Um, yeah, I feel like that size, those are much more like kind of beads kind of things. Um, I think seeing that you have a group of them.
Or I could also offer a periton feather, like put it. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, you tell me what you're offering. We're getting close to the end of this. I mean, if you guys end up wanting to, if you end up thinking of anything creative like in the next week that you wanted to ask these creatures, we could certainly pick up there. But we're effectively getting to the end of this, and I think this is a big thing what you decide to give in return here.
Yeah, I feel like it should be something personal. Again, like I mean, I don't have them in my inventory, but I would think I would have like some kind of prayer beads or something on me.
Oh, you know what Brannick has? It's broken, but he's still lugging around the uh, sculpture of his face that the Schwingas had carved.
Excellent choice. So yeah, what was that actually made out of? Was that initially ice or
Yeah, it was an ice sculpture, but I think the way you had described it, it was like pretty exact. It was like the very like detailed.
yeah, I
And I
don't
think I had.
remember how we described it as broken, but you've got it as 8 pounds, so it's probably a full size head of Brennick. Probably easy to pretty well recognize. Made by the Chwingas. Let's see.
Yeah, I think I decided that I just decided that he broke it like one time when they were attacked, like he fell on it or something.
Yeah, I feel like you broke it that night when the Peritons killed your sidekick, like tore out his heart. I feel like it was like the very same moment of getting it that it was broken. Um, yeah. So going to see. He will take it. He's going to, in particular, give this um, kind of like lock of hair and this like stone to Brennick at that point. Then, and he's going to continue with the idea. Trying to think how he would say this. This stone has the favor, the power. Is going to point up to that same constellation in the sky of the bear. You are in danger. And he's just going to kind of like um show signs of almost like reaching his arms out, but he kind of again like kind of lacks the words for this. And you'll see as for the first time, um Zelika is going to actually use magic and cast a spell. Um, for what it's worth, I think he's just going to cast an actual like flame out into like the little like kind of like cubby hole of the wall you guys are huddled next to like create a fire. But he's going to kind of like make this reference towards the actual casting of the spell. And he's going to then like refer back to the stone, and then he'll kind of it will protect you to where you find safety.
And that kind of hearing that, Brannick will kind of now he'll do kind of like he'll bow kind of in gratitude, an honorable honorable gift. Thank you.
Jim would also give a nice little bow.